Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up! Joel, get up.
End it. Now.
Get up. No. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't do it, please. Please get up. No.
What could I say about The Last of Us Part 2 that hasn't already been said? This game is beautiful, sad, heartbreaking. The writing is bad, the characters are bad, the story is bad. In June of 2020, the highly anticipated sequel to The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Part 2, released. If you're a fan of the game or even the series, you know the rest. When The Last of Us Part 2 released, it became one of the most controversial games of all time. But this isn't something new. It happens all the time where some fans like this game and some fans don't like this other game. It's nothing new. But with The Last of Us Part 2, it was completely different. The actors that were in The Last of Us Part 2 received all kinds of death threats. Laura Bailey, the voice actor for Abby, received the absolute worst of it. Her newly born baby that was just born around the time of The Last of Us Part 2's release received death threats. A lot of people saying that they were going to kill her baby and hunt her down. But then you have the other side of fans. The fans that loved and appreciated The Last of Us Part 2 for what it was. Remember, this game still won Game of the Year in 2020. So when I say that this game is the most controversial game of all time, I mean it. This video is a critique and retrospective look at The Last of Us Part 2's entire story. So sit back, relax, grab a snack or two, and enjoy this retrospective look on The Last of Us TV show and game. Enjoy. All the way back in 2016, the highly anticipated trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 released. And to say the excitement was through the roof would be an understatement. I mean, a second game to one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time, who wouldn't be excited? But at the same time, this begs the question as to why. Why is The Last of Us even getting a second game to begin with? I mean, the first game's ending was just so perfect. Do we even really need a second game? As more and more trailers started to get revealed, the story trailer, the gameplay trailer, more and more stuff came out about The Last of Us Part 2. While yes, there were fans that had a little bit of a concern, majority of the fans were so excited to finally be getting a second game and return back to the world of The Last of Us. To finally return back, seeing Ellie, seeing Joel, seeing all of these characters once again, it was going to be amazing. I mean, fans were so excited to finally be playing as Joel once again and get to see how far Ellie has grown up. Fans were so excited. Clips of The Last of Us Part 2 were slowly released to the public before the game could officially come out. And while before it was just a few scenes, a few clips of just Ellie shooting a gun, the big thing leaked. Joel Miller's death. And the fans, all before, when they were so excited for The Last of Us Part 2's release to finally play as Joel Miller again, those fans turned angry. And those fans started to send death threats to every employee at Naughty Dog. Some fans canceling their pre-order of the game. Some fans just complaining online. And then some fans sending death threats to the voice actors and everyone that was involved with The Last of Us Part 2, all before the game could even come out. So while at first there was so much excitement around The Last of Us Part 2, that excitement slowly turned into hate. And that hate would only grow when the game officially came out. At the end of The Last of Us TV show and game, Joel lied. After going across the country to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies to use her immunity to develop a cure, Joel backed out. To make Ellie's cure, she would have to die. A fact Joel simply couldn't accept. You know the rest. So now I ask you this question. How far would you go for love? If you haven't already noticed, I have barely talked about The Last of Us TV show. And that is for a reason. I've been wanting to build context. Context as to what surrounds The Last of Us Part 2. Why The Last of Us Part 1 was so praised, but when it came to The Last of Us Part 2, it's so divided. And it's like they say, history repeats itself.
I found this entire episode to be quite disastrous.
Let's talk about The Last of Us Season 2, because I am getting increasingly worried after last night's episode that they maybe don't know how to adapt this story as well as I thought
That was
they would
possibly
have,
the
because
worst
I'm
episode
getting
of The Last of Us in the entire series.
I think
We just got
episode 1 and 2.
Just like The Last of Us Part 2, the TV show, Season 2, is also disliked. Whether it be key moments in the game that happened, that changed, certain pieces of dialogue, and simply boring episodes, The Last of Us Season 2 is hated. At the time that I'm recording this, it is currently Sunday, and episode 5 of The Last of Us Season 2 is about to drop. And honestly, I'm worried. If you've seen my previous video, I gave so much praise to The Last of Us Season 1, how they had certain changes, but it made the story so much better. The way they expanded on these characters and gave them so much more to do than they did in the game, it was amazing. But Season 2, the changes are starting to become too much. They're changing key things that happen in the game, and maybe it will appear in future episodes. But as of right now, I'm worried about this show. And this is coming from someone who, with The Last of Us Part 2, is their favorite game of all time. I love the story, I love the music, I love these characters, I love the decisions. While at first, when the game first came out and I played it, I didn't love it that much. After doing so many retrospects and going back and playing The Last of Us Part 2, it has become one of my favorites. No, it has become my favorite of all time. Remember, this is still a story retrospect on The Last of Us Part 2. So what we're gonna do is go episode by episode, all the way to episode 4. And this is only part 1. Part 2 will come out when all of the episodes have been released. So what we're gonna do is go through the episode, talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, what the game did in that episode, how they changed it around, and all of this. We might as well begin with episode 1 of season 2, Future Days. Remember when I talked about the changes in The Last of Us Season 2 becoming too much? Well, episode 1 basically established that from the beginning. In the beginning, we figure out Abby's motivation right from the start. A very subtle change from the game, where in the game, you had to play 15 hours plus to finally learn why Abby killed Joel. When Abby killed Joel at the beginning of The Last of Us Part 2, we knew absolutely nothing about her and her crew. And honestly, I really liked that. It put us in the shoes of Ellie. All we knew was that Joel was murdered and we had to get revenge for him. I really liked that. Now, when Abby's motivation was revealed at the beginning of season 2, game fans were not that excited. It was a big twist in the game, and it really put you in perspective when you played as Abby for all of those hours. Neil Druckmann and Craig Mason, the writers and directors of the show, knew this was a big change. Here's what they had to say about this.
And this is where Neil is important, to kind of inform you why it was done that way in the game. And a lot of times, it is the fact that you can be Abby. So you get to be this person, and so much of how you experience Abby is through gameplay. Which means it's quite helpful to quite not know why she's doing what she's doing. Because you have the benefit of being the person moving her around, and you understand that you're going to discover that as her. We don't have that in our show. So it felt to us that we would probably be doing a disservice to the audience by holding this information back.
Also, with Abby's motivation being revealed at the beginning of the episode, Abby's appearance was also changed. In The Last of Us Part 2, Abby is very muscular and very built. In the Grounded documentary, where they talked about the making of The Last of Us Part 2, they talked about how they wanted to make Abby like a mirror of Joel and have her be very muscular and very strong. The way Abby is built is very, very, very important to her character, but in the show, she basically has no muscle at all. Along with that, we also got Joel going to therapy, something that never ever happened in the game whatsoever. We get Joel telling his therapist Gail how he saved Ellie, something that was the very first cutscene in The Last of Us Part 2. And in that, he wasn't talking to a therapist, he was talking to Tommy. And then in the show, we also get Joel and Dina having a very strong relationship, something that I don't think was actually in the game. We also get the amazing dance scene with Ellie and Dina, something that if you wanted to see that, you would have to wait till all the way to the end of the game in The Last of Us Part 2. That's 20 hours later. With all that being said, I really enjoyed this episode. Am I upset that Abby doesn't have the muscles that she has in the game? Yes. Am I disappointed that Abby's motivation was revealed at the beginning? No, not really. What Craig said was absolutely correct. Abby's entire side truly relies on gameplay the most. After Abby kills Joel and then you as Ellie kill all of Abby's friends, and then having to make you play as Abby and build sympathy with these characters, it relies heavy on gameplay. So I really enjoyed this. I really liked this episode. And honestly, I could say the same thing about this next episode. Episode 2, Through the Valley. Through the Valley is definitely one of my favorite episodes so far in the entire series. Whether it be with Joel's death, this episode having Tommy actually do important stuff, Bella Ramsey's acting, so many things are the reason why this has become one of my favorite episodes. Instead of Tommy being there when Joel is out on patrol and with him when his death happens, this time it's Dina. Another controversial decision that game fans didn't really like. But I really liked this change. It made Joel and Dina's relationship so much more stronger. So when Joel's death happens, it really does make sense for Ellie and Dina to go to Seattle to hunt down Abby and her crew. There's just so many good scenes in this episode. Whether it be the entire Jackson section close to the end of the episode, whether it be Joel's death, whether it be the ending with Joel's death and Through the Valley playing. This episode was just amazing. While I do think this episode was very amazing and is definitely one of my favorites in the entire series, this episode is also controversial for the main reason of Joel's death.
What? Lying! You're lying!
No.
You're lying! What? No!
No way, bro.
I'm not watching it anymore!
While I don't think Joel's death went to the extent that it went to in The Last of Us Part 2, where when Joel's death happens, the voice actors and everyone that was involved with The Last of Us Part 2's production received death threats. But still, when it came to TV show viewers and people that didn't know anything about The Last of Us Part 2 and what its story was, when Joel's death came, it still was controversial. TV show viewers were saying how the show is now going to be nothing without Joel / Pedro Pascal in the show. Some TV show viewers believe that Bella Ramsey cannot carry the show on her own now that Joel is gone. Like I said, I really enjoyed this episode, but honestly, if I'm talking straight, these next 2 episodes, I really did not like in the slightest. So, let's begin talking about episode 3 of The Last of Us Season 2, The Path. Episode 3, The Path, is literally the worst episode in the entire Last of Us series. While I do think this episode did have good moments at some parts, majority of the episode is really bad, and I did not enjoy it in the slightest. Remember at the beginning of the video when I said, how far would you go for love? What would you do to protect someone or something that you hold very dear to you? What if you saw someone that you saw as a father figure die right in front of you, brutally murdered? From that day forward, what would you act like? Would you act like the person that you used to be? How much of this event will have changed you? I'm only saying this because I feel that Ellie does not have the rage that she had in The Last of Us Part 2. When it comes to the TV show adaptation and these next 2 episodes that I'm going to be talking about, I feel like Ellie doesn't have that rage that she had in The Last of Us. It's very apparent, especially when you do rewatches of this season. And this is not me hating on Bella Ramsey in the slightest. No, this comes down to the writing of the show. And more specifically, it comes down to Craig Mason. In these episodes that I'm going to be talking about, it is so apparent that Craig needs to explain everything to his audience. In this episode, we get to see the Seraphites for the very first time ever. And when we see the Seraphites talk for the first time, it's between a dad and daughter. Obviously, it's a parallel between Joel and Ellie. And I know all before I was giving so much praise to season 2, how I liked episode 1, how I really enjoyed episode 2. But episode 1 was really slow. I let the slowness slide because it was episode 1 of season 2. And then when episode 2 came out, Through the Valley, I really enjoyed that episode. But now that we're on episode 3 and episode 4 has come out, and like I said, this is recorded before episode 5 can even release, I'm really worried about the show. And I'm really worried about the pacing of this show. While we're here, there is another thing that I want to talk about, and it's literally the most talked about thing when it came to The Last of Us season 2. The casting of Ellie. If you saw my video talking about The Last of Us season 1, I talked about how I really did enjoy Bella Ramsey's portrayal of Ellie. I feel like she really embodied the character, and she absolutely did the character justice when it came to her live action portrayal. And that point still stands in season 2. And I know a lot of people watching this may not agree with me when I say that I enjoyed Bella Ramsey's portrayal in The Last of Us season 2. A lot of people prefer other actors to play Ellie instead of Bella Ramsey. And one of those actors at the top of the list, it's Kaylee Cuoco. The second that The Last of Us season 1 ended, a lot of people were saying for season 2, Bella Ramsey needs to be recasted. Remember when the Sonic movie trailer first came out and everyone was complaining about the look of Sonic? And a lot of people were saying, even though he acts like Sonic, he doesn't even look the part in the slightest. And it made the studio do an entire redesign on him. People online were saying that even though Bella Ramsey acts like Ellie, she doesn't look the part. This was being said with The Last of Us season 1, and this is most definitely being said with The Last of Us season 2. Remember when I was saying how I was recording this before episode 5 can even come out? Well, since my upload schedule was just so trash, all of the episodes have been released. Episode 5, episode 6, and the finale, episode 7. And now that season 2 is officially over, I'm disappointed. While I do think this season had great moments at times, majority of the season and overall, this season was bad. Season 1 was really good. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I was so excited for season 2 because The Last of Us Part 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. But with this season, I was nothing but disappointed. With a lackluster and flat out controversial last episode, The Last of Us Season 2 is not that well liked. Just like the game that it's adapting. And truly, where I think the show falls isn't in the characters, no. It's in the writing. And like I said earlier in this video, more specifically, Craig Mason. When Craig Mason was talking about the finale episode of The Last of Us Season 2, this is what he had to say.
Look for the devil's gonna find you, and Abby seemingly is not like Ellie, in that Abby is incredibly competent.
I truly think when it came down to The Last of Us Part 2, I think Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann had two completely different ideas on how to structure this story. But this video is about coming to terms with The Last of Us Season 2. Whether you think it's good or whether you think it's bad, it's about coming to terms and accepting what The Last of Us Season 2 was. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and please, in the comments down below, please let me know what you thought of The Last of Us Season 2, and even let me know what you thought of The Last of Us Part 2. I really want to know you guys' opinion. Did you guys like what Bella Ramsey did in the show? Do you think that she was good in her portrayal? How did you guys like Dina or Joel or anything about The Last of Us Season 2 or Part 2? Please, let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and this is Coming to Terms with The Last of Us TV show and game. Have a nice day.